Shrotavya, must be heard. Kirtitavyaha, glorified. Cha, also. Smartavyaha, be remembered. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Nrinam, by the human being. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. O King, it is therefore essential that every human being hear about, glorify, and remember the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, always and everywhere. Purport. Srila Sukadeva Goswami begins this verse with the word tasmat, or therefore, because in the previous verse he has already explained that there is no auspicious means for salvation other than the sublime process of Bhakti Yoga. The Bhakti Yoga process is practiced by the devotees in different methods like hearing, chanting, remembering, service the lotus feet of the Lord, worshipping, praying, rendering service in love, becoming friendly, and offering all that one may possess. All 9 methods are bona fide methods, and either of them, some of them, or even one of them can bring about the desired result for the sincere devotee. But out of all the 9 different methods, the first one, namely hearing, is the most important function in the process of yoga. Without hearing sufficiently and properly, no one can make any progress by any of the methods of practice. And for hearing only, all the Vedic literatures are there, compiled by authorized persons like Vyasadeva, or incarnation of Godhead. And since it has been ascertained that the Lord is the super soul of everything, he should therefore be heard and glorified everywhere and always. That is the special duty of the human being. When the human being gives up the process of hearing about the all-pervading personality of Godhead, he becomes victim to hearing rubbish transmitted by man-made machines. Machinery is not bad, because through the machine one can take advantage of hearing about the Lord. But because machinery is used for ulterior purposes, it is creating rapid degradation in the standard of human civilization. It is said here that it is incumbent upon the human beings to hear, because the scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam are made for that purpose. Living beings other than human beings have no ability to hear such Vedic literatures. If human society gives itself to the process of hearing the Vedic literature, it will not become a victim to impious sounds vibrated by impious men who degrade the standards of the total society. Hearing is solidified by the process of chanting. One who has perfectly heard from the perfect source becomes convinced about the all-pervading personality of Godhead, and thus becomes enthusiastic in glorifying the Lord. All the great acharyas, like Ramanuja, Madhva, Chaitanya, Saraswati Thakur, or even in other countries, Muhammad, Christ, and others, have all glorified the Lord by chanting always and in every place. Because the Lord is all-pervading, it is essential to glorify him always and everywhere. In the process of glorifying the Lord, there should be no restriction of time and space. This is called Sanatan Dharma, or Bhagavat Dharma. Sanatan means eternal, always and everywhere. Bhagavata means pertaining to Bhagavan, the Lord. The Lord is the master of all time and all space, and therefore the Lord's holy name must be heard, glorified, and remembered everywhere in the world. That will bring about the desired peace and prosperity so eagerly awaited by the people of the world. The word cha includes all the remaining processes or methods of bhakti yoga as mentioned above. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshushunnaditam Nina Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayamupakadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpa Tribhischa Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai. So I hope everyone can hear me still. But
yes, we're fine.
Okay, great. Thank you, Prabhu, for giving me some feedback. So this is an image I chose because there's so much literatures out there today that we can get our hands on. And as Prabhupada mentions in this purport, that there are so many machines nowadays where we can hear from. We could get the early days they had the, what was that thing called, the tele something? And now we have the telephone, we have the internet, we have the radio, we have television, we have iPads, iPhones. We got so many things we can hear from. It's very important for us to understand we have to hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because if we don't, then our ear holes, which are like unlimited holes, they will just start to be filled up with rubbish. As you can see, the crow literature on top there. This is what our consciousness will be filled with. Birds of a feather flock together. Crows, they like the garbage can, as you can see up there. They like, roughage and trash and all that trashy literature. And then the birds of a feather of a swan, they enjoy to be around crystal clear lakes and beautiful flowers and nice like that. So this is the transcendental literatures that we have. Prabhupada mentions that we have to hear from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. This is what they're meant for. This is why we have them. So today's verse is very nice. There's a nice verse by Prahlad Maharaj. He says that the person who has acquired complete knowledge, this is the symptom, or is understood how a learned person has acquired complete knowledge. Prahlad Maharaj says, hearing and chanting about the holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, pastimes, Lord Vishnu, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering respectful obeisances, 16 types of paraphernalia, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming His servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto Him. In other words, serving Him with body, mind, and words. So these are the 9 processes Prabhupada mentioned in the purport to this verse. They're accepted as pure devotional service, and one who has dedicated his life to the service of Krishna through these 9 methods should be understood to be the most learned person, for his acquired complete knowledge. So it's not only all 9 that we have to do, but Prabhupada mentions that even one of them, just hearing, and hearing is the most important. And that's what today's verse is all about, hearing and chanting. Of course, Prabhupada says it's solidified by chanting. Actually, I heard that Vaiseshika is going to write a book on Sankirtan. And I think the whole idea of the book is that from sufficient hearing, one automatically is overflowing and bubbling with nectar that he just can't help himself but to go out and share it. So that's kind of like the theme of the book, is that we have to become sufficiently heard, hear sufficiently, become satisfied, just fill up these ears with transcendental sound vibrations, and we'll be bubbling with ecstasy, with nectar, and we'll want to share that with everyone because we're getting such a nice taste. So in the purport to that particular verse, it's a super long purport, But it just mentions here about Shravanam, hearing the holy name, how it's the beginning of the 9 processes, and how that is what cleanses the mirror of the mind, Cheto Darpanam Arjuna. And when that dirt is cleansed from the heart, then we can realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada mentions how in another purport, how Krishna is like the Supreme Sun, and because we're part and parcel of Krishna, we're like the sun rays. Or it's like the fire, with the sparks that are being covered over. So we have to cleanse the dirt, or he uses the analogy of the rain. The rain is distilled and it's very pure, but when it hits the dirt, it gets muddy. So this is a process of hearing, is cleansing the consciousness so that we can attain our pure, brilliant state like the sun and just emanate. So this is just to bring out the purport here that's talking about this whole process of hearing and chanting from. It's very important to hear from a pure devotee. This is how it's handed down through Parampara system. And this is the method, not to hear from devotees, not from non-devotees. So he goes on into the rest of this particular section on hearing, that again is proving that we must hear from the Bhagavatam. It's very important. It's full of transcendental mellows. We hear these things and we'll be bubbling. And so we can, it says here, the transcendental holy name of the Lord may be heard and chanted according to the attraction of the devotee. One may chant the holy name of Krishna. He may chant the name of Rama, Nrsimha. He has innumerable names and forms, and we have to meditate on a particular form and chant the holy name according to our attraction. And as we were reading, the first stages of self-realization is sometimes we're attracted to the external form of Krishna, as this Virat Rupa. These are all standard, ways, but as we become more advanced, we begin attracted to one of these personal forms of Krishna. So, Prabhupada encourages that the best course is to hear the holy name, form, and so on from a pure devotee. Again, is bringing up that point. In other words, one who is attached to Krishna should chant and hear from other pure devotees who are also attracted to Lord Krishna. So this is the idea of the birds who flock together. You tell a person by the company he keeps. So this is he says the same principle applies for devotees attracted to Ram, Nrsimha, other forms of the Lord. Because Krishna is the ultimate form of the Lord, Krishna is tu Bhagavan Swayam, it's best to hear about Lord Krishna's name, form, and pastimes from a realized devotee who is particularly attracted by the form of Lord Krishna. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, great devotees like Sukadeva Goswami have specifically described Lord Krishna's holy name, form, and qualities. And unless one hears about the holy name, form, and qualities of the Lord, one cannot clearly understand the other processes of devotional service. So this is the cleansing process of the mud from the mind, from the consciousness, so that we can understand the other forms. I mean, if you don't hear about Krishna, hear about what you're supposed to do, how would you know? So therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends that we chant the holy name of Krishna, Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. If one is fortunate enough to hear from the mouth of realized devotees, he is very easily successful on the path of devotional service. Therefore, hearing of the holy name, form, and qualities of the Lord is essential. So this is our main thing, is to hear. It's not that we can just hear, okay, I hear Bhagavad Gita and then I chant Bhagavad Gita. There's one gentleman that approached Prabhupada and he says, Swamiji, I can recite the entire Bhagavad Gita in 48 minutes. And Prabhupada's response was, yes, but can you live the Bhagavad Gita for 48 minutes? So, we hear, we chant, but we want to follow this process. We have to live it. This is our life. And if you're living it, then that means that you're constantly hearing. at every moment, as recommended in this verse. You should hear and chant. It's nityam bhagavata sevaya. Constant hearing and chanting. And we hear from pure devotees. We have very good examples of devotees who have attained to these 9 processes, and we'll go into those a little later here. But there's this nice verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It talks about, this is the rest of that purport actually, in that the verses describing the name, form, and qualities of Anantadev, the unlimited Supreme Lord, are able to vanquish all the sinful reactions of the entire world. Therefore, even if such verses are improperly composed, devotees hear them, describe them, and accept them as bona fide and authorized. In this connection, Sridhar Swami has remarked that a pure devotee takes advantage of another pure devotee by trying to hear from him about the holy name, form, and qualities of the Lord. If there is no such opportunity, he alone chants and hears the Lord's holy name. So here we have a good example of Pali Maharaj. He actually offered everything to the service of the Lord. This is one example. We read about his pastime in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we understand how he heard about Krishna, and he was attracted to Krishna. And he heard from his spiritual master, actually, that you should not serve this Supreme Personality. This is a Supreme Personality of God. He's going to take everything away from you. But he didn't let those words enter his mind. He rejected them. So this is the discrimination that we have to have. We must discriminate. Especially in this day and age, the age of Kali is destroying all the good qualities of a living being. And our enemies, the senses, they're trying to pull us here and there. And they're like thieves. And they're trying to steal our greatest asset, and that is our discrimination. Discrimination to understand what is spiritual, what is matter, what is rubbish, what is actually real transcendental sound vibrations. Because there's a path that's just full of brambles, and that's the bhakti path. As we go on this path, there may be many brambles, and those are our material desires. We have to be careful of the material desires. They're like thorns on the path that just cause pain. And also, we're very weak and agitated. But simply by hearing the holy names as recommended by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda, we take shelter of them. Then we have some hope. Because look, we have so much against us. The age of Kali, the enemies, we have lust, anger, greed. They reside in senses, and they're like demons. Not only enemies, but demons. So we have to kill these demons before we can actually have Vasudeva take birth. Just like when Vasudeva and Devaki gave birth to Krishna, they had all these children that were killed by Kamsa, and they represent these demons of lust, anger, and greed. When those are destroyed, then we can actually have Vasudeva enter into the mind. So here's Arjuna. He established friendship with the Lord. To see how kind the Lord is, he can actually become our friend. He is our friend. He's our only friend. Look how kind he was to Arjuna. He agreed to drive the chariot. He agreed to take orders from Arjuna. He agreed to protect his devotee. From so many ways, even though he wasn't fighting, just by simply him directing the chariot, he was able to protect Arjuna from so many enemies and so many dangers and like that. So we have to actually get transcendental intelligence. And that's how we get intelligence, is by these transcendental literatures. Because as we know in the Bhagavad Gita, it describes how a nice analogy of the chariot. The chariot, has the 5 horses, which are the senses, represents the power of the senses. But they have a tendency to have lust and things, depending on what the other senses dictate. There's the eyes see something, they go for it. The ears hear something, they go for it. There's that one painting, I didn't have time to put that on here, but it shows a guy sitting on his couch, and then his ears are being pulled out and his eyes being pulled to the TV. His different senses are being pulled out to all the different parts of his home. His wife is pulling things. His children are pulling. So this was where they're like thieves or stealing. So we have to have this intelligence take the reins of the mind. The mind has a tendency to go from here to there, accept, reject, this and that. But it has to have a guide, and that's the intelligence. It's like the driver of the chariot. And we get that intelligence from Krishna. Krishna is the intelligence. He'll direct us. And all we're doing is sitting on the chariot, either enjoying or suffering the results of our desires. And we get desires according to our association. Association means what you hear, associated with books, what you see, associate with, whatever you show, whatever you're looking at on your screen, what kind of people you're associating with, what you hear. So they affect our desires. And these desires may take the power of attorney. It's like giving the power of attorney to your senses or to your mind. And just like, the intelligence is shut off. It's like today, we don't like the government. Just shut them down. Just bribe them. Just pay them off. Their government's not the solution. They're a problem. Just pay them off. They're just, and then they're just end up, not intelligent. They're not Brahminical. It's like society without a head. So this is what it's like to not have your intelligence. So here we establish a friendship. Our intelligence is our friend. Krishna is our friend. We get intelligence from these books, our friends. There's a quote somebody said that one of your best friend is a book or transcendental knowledge. We know that our best friend is Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar Devotion. Those are the 4 essential friends that we have. Srila Prabhupada wanted us to read these books, become knowledgeable in these books. And that way we can ourselves become cleansed, purified, become ecstatic, and then share that with others. So Maharaj Parikshit attained salvation simply by hearing, and Sukadeva Goswami, he attained salvation simply by chanting. So we see here, we're so fortunate that we have the same opportunity to be hearing and chanting the same messages that were given by the great sage Sukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit, who was wrapped in attention. For 7 days he didn't eat, sleep, or anything. He just simply sat down, at the bank of the holy river and just simply heard Srimad Bhagavatam. We have the same opportunity. What did he get? What was the result that he got simply by hearing? He got liberated. And what did Sukadeva Goswami get simply by chanting? He also got salvation. So this is the importance. All throughout the Bhagavatam, it's just a narration about questions and answers. What is this, what is that, and the answers are there. So perfect questions, perfect answers. We can only get those if we have interest in transcendental subject matters, not interest in rubbish and crow-like material. So Prahlad Maharaj, he attained salvation simply by remembering the Lord. We know that Prahlad Maharaj was under so many difficult circumstances by his father. His father was the king of the universe. He performed severe austerities for thousands and thousands of demigod years. And so terrible austerities to where his entire body, skin, muscle, organs were just eaten by ants, and yet he still maintained his life air within his bones. Such severe austerities, nobody can perform those today. And he achieved results that no one can attain, took charge of the entire universe. He thought he had the control of everything, but yet he couldn't control his own mind, which Prahlad Maharaj told him, there is no enemy except the mind, uncontrolled mind. And look at Prahlad Maharaj. All he did was simply remember Krishna. Even though his father was a demon and he didn't appreciate his son being a devotee, and he tried to kill him and torture him in so many different ways. And in the middle of all those things, in the middle of being thrown in a pit of snakes, he remembered Krishna and he was protected. In the midst of being thrown off cliffs, he simply remembered Krishna, and Krishna saved him. They try to drown him, they try to burn him, they try to boil him, and try to stone him, try to puncture his body, and so many different things. They tried to kill him, and even his own father tried to cut his head off. But yet he was protected by Lord Nrsimhadev. Prahlad Maharaj didn't do any huge austerities like his father, but look, now he's the king. He's the king, and he's being crowned by Lord Brahma, and all the demigods are there. So this is simply by remembering Krishna. There's hearing, chanting, remembering. So all these are there. And here's the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi. She attained perfection by worshipping the Lord's lotus feet. Just see. Simply by worshipping the feet of the Lord, we can attain all perfection. And this is Lakshmi Devi. She's always attached to the Lord's lotus feet. And, it's interesting how Krishna and his form, they're all, every sense can perform the function of any other sense. We can't think that the lotus feet of the Lord is inferior to the face of the Lord or like that. But, we can serve the lotus feet of the Lord, and this is how we're, through the Bhagavatam, we're starting from the lotus feet of the Lord to the first and second cantos, and then we're moving up higher to the different, parts of the Krishna's body, so that we can get into more and more intimate with Krishna, and have more and more rasas with Krishna in different ways. Also, the Bhagavad Gita in the Gita Mahatma, it describes how the Gita is also like the body of the Lord. Different parts of the Gita, different chapters represent the different bodily parts of Krishna. So this is the form of the Lord. Somehow or another we get in touch with the Lord through these books. We're worshipping his lotus feet. We're gaining higher and higher realizations of Krishna till we come to his lotus face, which is very beautiful. And then we understand more and more about Krishna's intimate pastimes. But we have to gradually hear about Krishna through these processes as we're coming in the Bhagavatams. The first stages of self-realization. And then we'll get more and more. It's ever increasing. Krishna is just amazing. It's eternal. So much about Krishna. And Prithu Maharaj, he attained salvation by worshipping the deity of the Lord. This Prithu Maharaj, actually you can't see in this painting, but he's actually they're both standing on Vena. The demoniac king, the sages had killed him. And then they churned his thighs, and through their mystic power, they were able to produce a son from that king's body, which was Prithu Maharaj. And Archie, I think, both came from the same body. So, but he was very much, even though he was incarnation of Krishna, Prithu Maharaj, is it Shaktavesh avatar, or he was, considered to be the representative of God. Actually, he was, in a sense, an incarnation of Krishna. But yet, what was his service? Is to worship the deity of the Lord. We have the same opportunity. In this Hare Krishna movement, ISKCON, we have the two parallel paths of worshiping the deity and performing Sankirtan, Yajna. It's like two railroad tracks. So this is the different processes that we've been given. And ISKCON, the whole purpose is meant for us to somehow or another, 24 hours a day, be absorbed in Krishna conscious activities from Mongol Artik time all the way till we take rest. We should always somehow or another engage in the serving the Lord. Then you think about the Lord. How can you serve the Lord and not think about Him? We hear about Him. We hear His holy names. We chant about Him. We have classes about Him. We have kirtan. We have all our different services. We're serving the Lord. This is all our deity service. It's for the deities. And all deities presiding in all the temples around in ISKCON have become holy places, holy tirthas, where we can all take advantage, like Maharaj Prithu, and attain salvation simply by worshipping the deity. And here's the Kura. He attains salvation by offering prayers. Kura was always offering prayers to Krishna, and he's always eager to see Krishna. So, when he saw the footprints of Krishna, he was so always thinking of Krishna by praying to him that when he saw, anything that reminded him of Krishna, he was in transcendental ecstasy. So here he gets off of his chariot and he wants to just roll the dust of the lotus footprints of Krishna. So we can also learn prayers. There's prayers we learn to chant, through the temple programs. We may have favorite prayers that we chant before the deity. It's very important that we should offer prayers to Krishna. This is communication. We can offer prayers, standard prayers given by the acharyas. Or Prabhu says you can just go before the deity and say, "My dear sir, I have this problem. Please give me intelligence on what to do. Please protect me. Please help me." Because Krishna is always there. He's our friend, like Arjuna, and He's willing to help us. We may go to the devotees. Devotees may be a solution to a problem. We can go to the devotees and ask them what to do. We can go to higher authorities. We can go to the Guru. But ultimately, Krishna is working through all these. And you can approach the deity, get answers, offer prayers. This is very important. Process of Krishna consciousness and the items of devotional service. Hanuman. He attained perfection by rendering service. As we know, he was very much attached to Lord Ram. And he was always thinking how to serve Ram in the best way. And he was a very powerful personality. He used his strength and his power to serve God. We've all been given certain abilities, certain talents, certain strengths, but we should render those to Krishna. We should use them in Krishna's service. That's the process of Krishna consciousness, is to do everything for Krishna. And he was able to, help Ram defeat this evil Ravana, who thought he was a very powerful personality. It's amazing what he got. A city of gold. He even had technology. He was able to build tunnels and subways to different continents. But yet he became so puffed up that he thought he could just steal Sita and enjoy Sita separate from Ram. And he wouldn't listen to any good counsel. So therefore he had to be defeated. And this is where the devotees, they'll fight for the Lord. Like Arjuna, Hanuman. The devotees are the most powerful personalities. All throughout history, the most powerful warriors were devotees. And like Arjuna. And Hanuman. And different, we read all the different warriors, huge battles that have taken place in history. And they were devotees. So whatever our abilities and talents are, we should use them for Krishna. So all these great devotees, they served the Lord according to their particular process, but every one of them attained salvation and became eligible to return home back to Godhead. So this is very encouraging how we could do also. We can also attain perfection and go back to Godhead simply by serving Krishna. So that's that. And in the first one, I guess we had here, I think it was, he offered everything. And I think Maharaj Ambarish, I guess we forgot to put him on here, he served Krishna with all 9 processes. Can you imagine? I actually had a picture for that. I guess I forgot to put it in there. It shows Maharaj. Yeah, it shows Maharaj Ambarish, how he was threatened with a demon from Ambarish, but yet he was simply absorbed in Krishna and all these 9 processes, and he was protected. So anyway, thanks for kind attention. And if there's any comments or questions?
Oh, thank you, Prabhu, very much. I'm sorry that you had so many technical difficulties in the beginning, so we lost some time there.
Yeah, me too.
But very nice presentation. It really focuses our mind on Krishna. We are really trying to end on time, so I want to remind the devotees that whatever questions or comments you have, please try and limit them so that we can finish on time despite our late beginning. So we have another 4 or 5 minutes. Does anyone have any questions or comments for Gaudacandra Prabhu?
If no one else has anything, Prabhuji, wonderful class.
Thank you, Prabhu.
When we pray to the Lord, or the Guru for that matter, and we get some apparent message back, some answer to our prayer, how should I handle this situation, or we're praying and needing some message back. How do we know if we're listening to, if we're actually hearing in our heart properly, we're getting a right message, or our mind disguising itself and playing tricks on us? And how do we verify? How do we know if it's true? It seems often devotees, they get misled, thinking that their prayers are answered, and it's just the mind. So what do you think?
There's a couple points that I thought of when you said that, is that, of course, you know that we have our checks and balances, the Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu, which that we know. But also when you actually got the right answer, or you get something that's really correct, true, and you begin to feel a happiness. You begin to feel some, like, that's it. It's like a aha, or it's just like a eureka kind of thing. It's like, that's it. It's it. And then it just, everything seems to works in place like that. So it's like that, and then also checking that out with the Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu.
Could you describe the Shastra, Sadhu, and Guru, especially for our new listeners? Because that's really important.
Yeah, it's like you were saying, I may have a idea or a dream about something, and I think, I should do this. I had a dream last night that, I should go to this certain place and, start a temple. Or I had a dream that, I should do something that you think it's Krishna conscious. But it's good to verify that. Go to your spiritual master and say, I had this dream. Does that seem all right? And he may give you some pointers, and then you may go and verify what your guru said to see if that's actually in the scriptures. Is he just making that up, or is it something in the scriptures? And you can see in the scriptures, did Prabhupada say that? Did the Bhagavatam say that? Bhagavad Gita say that? Yeah, and then the saintly persons, that you get the blessings of all the saintly people, they know that they have heard what you said and what everyone said, and everybody agrees. Then you could be pretty sure that, yet you got the blessings, and that, you could go ahead and do that. But sometimes we get an idea and then we just go off and don't even ask anybody, and we just do it, and we think, this is it. like that. Like some devotee, didn't he say he had a dream to sell the temple? Prabhupada appeared to him to sell the temple, even though Prabhupada said never sell the temples. But he went ahead and sold the temple and didn't even check with other devotees. So that's something like that's an example. Once these
What
temples
if you,
are established.
Consulting saintly persons, sometimes we may get two very different opinions.
Yeah, that's why you have to, you have your guru and then the shastras. There may be, someone may have an opinion that's, either way you could go. But for your particular nature, you have to also, pray to Krishna to see where your talents are and see what fits in, what you're good at, what our tendency is. Like Arjuna wanted to renounce and go and live like a beggar. But Krishna told him that, no, that's not your nature. You may be able to perform that perfectly, but it's not your nature, it's not your service. But you just stick to your own service, even though you may perform it imperfectly. That way it's better that way to perform your own service. Because Arjuna, his nature is to be a Kshatriya. He's going to fight anyway. How can he repress that and become a sadhu and not fight? So Krishna explained to him that, yeah, your idea, it's not a good idea. But we have to pray and meditate on it and see, the way, and see which is best.
It seems we have to be
be
open-minded as we're.
Yeah.
If we take a course of action, we think, okay, this sounds reasonable. I've heard from, I heard my heart. I've heard from some seniors. Sometimes it's not always so easy to talk to one's guru, and sometimes practically it's those that are giving shiksha that are really more prominent realistically in guiding one in their spiritual life.
And it's good time to pray and stuff.
Yeah, it seems that we have to, we'll pick that course of action, follow it, and then be very attentive, again, through Shastra, Sadhana, and Guru to see, well, okay, how is this panning out? Is this helping to advance in spiritual life, or does it seem like it's not working out so well? So it seems like we have to be very careful to analyze and discriminate all along the way with our decisions.
Yeah, as we become more and more advanced, we'll be able to discriminate and take advantage. Like those devotees that were asked to get married, but yet they were so fixed that they didn't want to get married, and they left, and they went to where Prabhupada was, and they became very advanced devotees, sannyasis and gurus. I mean, it's, it depends. If, you have to try to see the motive behind people. Why are they trying to take advantage, or somehow or another? But, I mean, you have to see what is your real interest? What is your real interest? Who has your real interest in mind? And that is the guru has a real interest, or this, the scriptures, the sadhus, and the real saintly people. They really have your real interest in mind. Not trying to exploit you for, what you can do for me, or we need you for this or that. But yeah, they have to really be genuinely concerned about this person's spiritual advancement. Yeah, I hope that helps. I mean,
it does. That's nice, and it's true. When we're preaching, if in our heart we really do try to internalize the mood of Lord Nityananda and especially Srila Prabhupada, that we really want to help someone, we really want to give them Krishna, then
yeah, it's true. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Gaudacandra Prabhu.
Jai.
Forgive me if I'm abrupt, but we should end on time. We can.
No, that's great. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and please forgive my offenses.
By the way, even though we're so much trouble, the visuals are a great help. That's my opinion. It really fixes your mind on the Lord. Very attractive. So thank you for taking the time.
You're welcome.
Jai Prabhu's. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Dhanavad, Prabhupada.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.